Hi guys. I hope everyone is doing good. Today I thought that I would talk about some of the books that I've been listening to or finished while tapping and scratching and making noise on this canvas. So, one of the books that I finished recently that I really liked, and it's probably one that you've heard before since it just came out in theaters recently, is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. Oh, I had listened to it before. I knew that it was being made into a movie. It was recommended to me by a friend that I met while playing a game on Steam called Fellowship. And they said that it was one of their favorite books. So thought I'd give it a try. And then I found out while I was listening to it that it was by the same person who had written The Martian, which I have read and watched the movie, and I enjoyed them both quite a lot. The book was narrated by someone named Ray Porter. I feel like they did a good job. They weren't one of my favorite narrators, but they didn't, irritate me in any way. There's some narrators that I don't enjoy listening to. This one was good. It did take me a couple hours to get invested into the book. I'm not sure if it's because I went in like completely blind. But there was a certain character that got introduced in the book, and that's when I was absolutely hooked. I really liked the character. And it added a lot of, humorous moments. And I even cried a little bit during the book. Basically, it's a book about the Project Hail Mary, which is a mission to save Earth. So it is a science fiction book. And I know there's a trope for this type of style of book, but I don't remember what it's called, where the main character has amnesia, so they don't remember anything about themselves, and they're discovering about themselves and about what they're doing at the same time as you. I know there's a specific, like, word for that style, but I don't remember what it is. The next book, actually, is funny enough, I had read this one right after Project Hail Mary, and it has that same trope of the character having amnesia, or starting off with amnesia and slowly remembering things. It's called The Frugal Wizard's Handbook for Surviving Medieval England. It's quite a wordy book title. It's written by Brandon Sanderson, which I do enjoy Brandon Sanderson's work quite a bit. I like how his books are pretty much all based in the Cosmere, so you'll get like little Easter eggs and like references to the other books, like references to different characters or, you know, whatever. And it's not something, like, I don't think you need to know about it. It's just kind of like a fun little thing. I don't think it really necessarily makes you miss out if you don't know about them. If that makes sense. But anyway, this book was narrated by Michael Kramer and Kate Reading, which seems to be the main people that narrate his books. There are a few of his that are narrated by other people, but for the most part, it seems to be those two. I do think Michael Kramer is a very good narrator. The only complaint, I guess, I would have about his narrating is that sometimes when he's talking into the mic, he will say something with like a T, or, you know, and it the way the mic picks it up is very jarring. But that's not necessarily his fault. But I feel like I haven't necessarily noticed it with other narrators as much as I have him. But otherwise, I think his voice acting is quite good. And he does a good job at putting emotion into the characters and making each character feel unique. It's funny that with the Frugal Wizard Handbook, Brandon Sanderson, at the end of the book, said that he had wanted to do the amnesia trope. He had been inspired by books like Project Hail Mary, and he had always wanted to do it himself. So I think that it's one of his only science fiction books. He generally seems to do fantasy. It was an okay book. I don't think it was necessarily his best work. It was fun. It was a little bit short for my tastes. Usually I like when a book is, that I'm listening to at least, if it's more like 20 hours. So it was a little bit short. I felt like there could have been more of the world explored, but I can see why it was as short as it was. So and it happens to be one of the only books that is not connected to the Cosmere universe, which I did not find out until after I had finished reading the book. And it's actually something I was really disappointed by, because when I was reading it, I was looking for all those little Easter eggs and references, and I thought I found a bunch. And I was like, oh, I came up with like a theory that I thought was super cool. And then I found out it's not connected to the Cosmere universe at all. And I was really disappointed. The next book is Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinniman. I think that's how you pronounce the last name, but I'm not sure. It was narrated by Jeff Hayes. I have very mixed feelings about this book and the narrator. I'll start off by saying his voice acting skills seem very good. There was a lot of different characters in the book, and I felt like if I didn't know that he was the only narrator in the story, that I would have assumed that other people were doing some of the voices. But I absolutely hate the voice that he chose for the main character. It's kind of like a southern Texas situation almost, I guess. Honestly, it reminds me of Kronk from The Emperor's New Groove, and that's all I can hear when I'm listening to the main character speak is Kronk. The concept of the book I really enjoyed. It's about I can never remember what the synopsis is on the back, and I don't want to spoil anything. But it's basically like a dungeon crawler. There's this dungeon that Carl goes into that he has to go through in order to be able to ever leave. Because once you're inside the dungeon, you cannot leave unless you complete it or die. And there are 18 levels of this dungeon. So I know the series is quite large already. I think there's like 7 or 8 books out. So I'm not sure how many floors the character does per book. But there are 18 floors in the dungeon. He has entered it with his ex-girlfriend's cat named Princess Donut. And it has all the gaming tropes that you would think is in there. There's leveling, there's loot, there's achievements, there's monsters, there's NPCs, there's tutorials, there's, all that kind of stuff. But I wasn't a huge fan of the humor. It felt a little bit crass, a little bit memey in a way that just kind of gave me secondhand embarrassment. So I don't know if I'm going to continue this series or not. I really am curious about some of the other stuff that they were hinting at that's coming up in the later books, and how the first book ended. But if I don't enjoy the humor, then I don't know. And then the last book, it's a series. I finished reading The Gentleman Bastard Sequence by Scott Lynch. It was narrated by Michael Page, and The Gentleman Bastard Sequence has 3 books in it currently. It's The Lies of Loch Lamora, Red Seas Under Red Skies, and The Republic of Thieves. They were all pretty good. They're fantasy books. And it's about the Gentleman Bastards, which is a thieving group, I guess you would call it. It's a group of friends. So the main character is Loch Lamora, and the first book kind of goes through their heist that they're trying to pull off, him and his friends. And while you're going through that, sometimes you jump back into the past when he was a child, and it kind of shows how he came to be where he is. So it gives you backstory on his character, his personality, his traumas, his fears. And then the second and the third book are kind of each book follows a heist that they're trying to do. They call them games. So they'll be the game is we're going to try to do X, Y, Z. And so it's a little bit different than some of the other books that I listened to. It was really enjoyable though. I liked the characters. I didn't like all of the swearing. That one is gets very creative with its swearing, but that's something that I've never really enjoyed in books, so you know. And it's a normal thing to have in books, I know that. But yeah, I really liked it. The way it ended, I know that there is going to be a fourth book at some point, or at least I hope so. I hope it's not going to be another one of those George R.R. Martin situations where the series isn't done and then it just potentially never gets finished. And then what I'm currently reading but haven't finished yet is I started The Sunlit Man by Brandon Sanderson, and I got maybe 2 hours into it, but I haven't really been feeling it. It's actually been like 2 or 3 weeks since I turned the book on, so I might set it aside and try something else and come back to it later and restart it. I was thinking about starting The Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. Or The Will of the Many, but I don't remember right now who that book is written by. I kind of don't want to start The Assassin's Apprentice just because I know that that's another very large world. But we'll see. I have a lot of books on my list, so if you have any recommendations, especially fantasy books, please drop them in the comments because I love reading. I've been very invested into it lately. I've also been doing some art for fun. This is one of the little paintings that I did recently. I've been doing paint pouring. I find it really relaxing, and just the colors that you can get from it is just so peaceful. Like, I love the way the pink and the blue and the white kind of merge together here and become all, I don't know, it feels very dreamy and serene to me. And this little circle here, it looks just like a nice little bubble or droplet, like about to drop into this serene Milky Way. And I like this guy here. It looks like a virus or something with the little branches coming off of it. And this over here looks like and a gate. Very pretty. I love the blue in this corner too. And even the blue and the purple here, like just the lines that it makes. Yeah. I'm quite obsessed, so I've been doing a lot of that. This was the first one that I did, and it's by far my favorite. I haven't been able to do one that I'm in love with as much as this one, but that's okay because I'm still having fun doing them, even if they don't turn out. I feel like I'm learning. And it's interesting how everyone has a different feeling when looking at the same art. Because this one is one of my fiance's least favorite paintings that I've done. Even though it's my favorite. And then this other one I did, it's a black, white, gold, and silver pour painting, and it's his favorite one, and I think it looks fine. I don't think it's anything like amazing. I don't think it's sucks. I just, I think it looks cool, but he loves it. So he says it reminds him of marble, and he really likes that. It's also interesting how I might find the composition of a painting looks better one way, and he'll be like, no, it looks better this way, if it feels like it should be this way. So it just goes to show you how subjective art is. Alright, that is all of the books that I have been reading or have finished lately. I hope you enjoyed the rambles and found it relaxing. If you've been reading anything lately, let me know in the comments. And I will hopefully see you in my next video. Thank you so much, you guys, for watching. I hope you take care. Bye.